that we can't refuse, I'm sure we would put a pause on the recording and working on the record. It all depends what comes our way, you know. We're a band that likes to take opportunities that present themselves. I don't think we've got that tunnel vision of the record is the only thing. If someone were to invite us there and it was a deal we couldn't pass up, we'll probably do it. So we'll see what happens.
Cool. Well, yeah, there you go. That's exciting in itself. And after one of the questions I have is you talked about being in the present, and that's something myself I've tried to learn a bit more. But after like 20 plus years, do you spend much time looking back at the past? Like, it's a long time to be doing music and being a band, or do you try and stay present and look forward? Do you get nostalgic sometimes? And obviously with the live record, you would have gotten quite nostalgic there with like relearning or getting that material back sort of in your head. But do you ever look back much on the history of Killswitch Engage?
Kind of, sort of. I'd say for the most part, no. I'm definitely more interested in moving forward. I think nostalgia is nice, but I don't think I want to live there. And I think it's dangerous to do that as not just as a musician, but as a human. You know, I think that there's wasted energy looking back so hard. And I'm proud of what we've done. You know, I'm also proud of how far we've come. But I'm excited for the future. And I think for me, like, hopefully the best is yet to come. I mean, that's a very optimistic viewpoint, being a musician, because some people would say this record is the peak of Killswitch, or this record was the peak of Killswitch, and that may be so, but why believe it? Why not just keep pushing forward and hoping for the best and striving to get better, which I have actively done as a vocalist, you know, getting back into lessons and relearning my instrument. I'm all about pushing forward. Yeah. I like looking back and playing some of those songs, bring them into the set and having fun with it, but it's not a place I tend to dwell or think too deeply upon the past. Because, again, I don't think it's really healthy for someone to do that. Yeah. And it's kind of derivative as a musician. It almost doesn't serve you well to cling too much to the past.
Yeah, for sure. And, yeah, that was a purposeful question, because I think it's so healthy for us to look forward after the endurement of the last couple of years. And it was enduring at times. So there's no better time to look forward, because especially in Australia, like, got a few rules that have broken down, and it's, oh man, like I was only saying to a friend today that some of the rules, the things like masks off flights, and like we've got I don't know what it's like there in America, like things like cruises are back, and it's like, well, that's good for live music, because there's trillions of dollars being pumped into these sorts of things. So hopefully live music can survive that, you know, that next, whatever the future holds. But right now, and that present time, it seems to be faring well. And I think there's no better time than to look forward than right now. So I appreciate, and I'm sure everyone listening appreciate what you had to offer on that, because
yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that is very important, not only just to do it sort of figuratively, but literally just look forward, keep pushing yourself. And I think the more we all do it collectively as a human race, the better it's going to be. You got to think positive. I think people who are continuing to look back in fear and to dwell on the past, if you will, I think that's not good for any of us. I think we all need to push forward and try to get back some quote-unquote sense of normalcy, because I think it's just good for the collective. It's good for all of us. Absolutely. And, you know, it's about time we get back to it, man, honestly. Yeah, it was a hard time for a lot of people, and I know a lot of people are going to have PTSD and be affected by this for many years to come, but I am not one of them. I am 100% in the boat of, like, let's go, let's do this, let's get back on the road, let's get back to our jobs, let's do this. Yeah. Do it carefully, sure, but let's do it. For sure. That's how I see it.
Yeah, and do you think that'll come into your lyrical content as far as, like, that? Yeah, it's always been such driving music and honest lyrical content as well, your back catalogue, and but heartfelt at the same time, like it's real. So do you think that'll play into your your lyrical content as far as let's get this done?
This is the first question I've gotten about that, and I've written enough where I can kind of answer that question. I've purposefully been extremely sort of spiritually minded and positive and trying to write uplifting things that are going to help people process what we've been through. I think there's two ways you can go. You can get angry and write hyper-political stuff and, anti-government or whatever, which I've done in the past, and I still stand by that. But I think for me, where my gift lies after what we've been through is sort of more of a comfort, more of an uplifting thing. So I'm leaning hard on that. The more existential, the more sort of like, looking forward, if you will, Lear. It's probably going to be some of the most positive stuff that I've ever written, and I'm doing that on purpose for myself, but also for the listener. I think it's just time for us to put out a record that's just beaming with positivity and hope, and that's what I'm going to do.
Perfect time to do it, man. Otep Shemaya once said, art saves, and I love that. Art, it truly does, and I know so many people locally and abroad that without their art, their coping mechanism is gone, and you see it as like almost like a fun a more abstract way for a counselling session, and that's the power of music. So people listening, that's what we're going to expect from yourself. That's incredibly cool and incredibly timely, because it's when we all lift each other and our peers and the people we looked up to as musicians, I think there's a real collective going on here, and that is fantastic, and that's exactly what we need right now. I couldn't agree more. So thank you.
Yeah, I think we've also seen some real ugly division because of this pandemic. I can speak from here in the United States, but I've also paid attention to what's been going on globally, and I think it's super important. There's enough division. There's enough sort of people condescending to other people for their differences of belief. And I never played into that, and I continue to stay away from all of those arguments, because to me, I'm looking at the much bigger picture, and that is we are stronger with unity. We are stronger when we come together. And I think focusing on the more beautiful elements of humanity and what we can accomplish is better than continuing to harp on these divisions, whether they be political or scientific or whatever the case may be. That shit has just been some of the most toxic shit that we've gone through as human beings, is the absolute sheer division and just, again, ugliness that I've seen. And I want no part of it at all. So I'm drawing my line in the sand between the light and the dark, and I'm running towards the light with this next record.
Here, man, here, and that's the promotion that needs to be done. And being on a platform that you guys are on, you're a band that's known. It's good to use that platform and just plummet it, like just launch it into the stratosphere, because you've got an audience. And I think that's a very responsible thing to do for someone who has an audience. So that's a compliment to you and your guys, because that's exactly, the light is the only way, because there is so much darkness and division. Like you said, it's the same in Australia, and there was already some division in this country, and it just continued on, where everyone is in each other's back pockets, when we should be handing out support and hugs and love and unity, all those great things. So I completely agree. It is absolutely the time to and continue, and then support that and change as a species for the good, because the evil's always going to be there. Yeah.
I think that we as humans have much more in common than we do with differences, and I realize that a lot with conversations that I had. And mind you, conversations, not arguments, conversations that I've had over the past few years. And it's just made me realize the importance of it. So yeah, you can expect that from me. That's 100% my goal, this new record.
Amazing, man. Amazing. I reckon I could talk to you for hours about this stuff. It's super cool, but I respect your time. I'm going to leave with one last question. It's always a little bit sort of different. Over the course of your career, at a live show, what is the most nuts memory, or be a crazy story, or just something that sticks in your mind in your entire music career? What's one of the first things that comes to mind that you was completely crazy, or two, you never thought in your wildest dreams you'd be standing there in the body you were in going, I never saw that coming. Have you got one for us?
I do, yeah. I had just gotten vocal surgery. I had 2 nodules removed in my voice. I had to be quiet for 3 months. I didn't know if I'd ever sing again. And Iron Maiden had invited us to come tour Europe with them. And it was up against the deadline. So when I had the surgery, I had a window of about 5 weeks before the tour started. Long story short, that first show, we're in Tallinn, Estonia, and standing in front of 11,000 people, and I open up my voice to sing for the first time in a live setting. And my voice was doing things I'd never done before. I could sing in vibrato, which is, I had this strength and this confidence I'd never felt before. And I remember looking at this sea of people and getting off stage emotional, and then watching the Iron Maiden crew getting ready, and watching the guys from Iron Maiden getting ready to take the stage, and just walking out there and watching that performance. That entire, I'll never forget it as long as I live. And then for the next, 3 months on and off, we toured Europe with Iron Maiden.
Wow.
I would say almost every single night of that tour, I had that moment of holy shit, how are we doing this? This is amazing. Seeing Eddie and seeing the pyrotechnics, and then being yeah, we're going to go backstage and go hang out and just mingle. Wow. And having Bruce Dickinson come into our dressing room and chat with us, that whole tour. But because I had that vocal surgery, that first show in Estonia, I'll never forget it as long as I live.
What? Oh. I just dropped my phone.
That's a nice tree. Nice sunny day.
I just blinded you with the Aussie sun. Wow.
I love it.
Well, that's amazing, man. And while we're at it, on this live album, your vocal is exceptional. There's Adam, there's some, Adam. We all know what Adam's like with his backing vocals, and he's though he's perfectionist, he can be a bit of a joker and things like that. So there's some really good elements there, but the vocal performance on it, live, some imperfections and all that, but it cuts everything cuts really nicely on that live recording. But it's well known for anyone who's a Killswitch fan, the things you've had, the surgeries and things you've had with your voice, but and now you're back to vocal training and taking care of your instrument. And I think that's so important as we get older, and for bands starting out, to take care of your instrument as well. So
yeah,
and you
I think the training, and I also think a lifestyle change was in order as well. I had to stop partying so much and just being an idiot and not sleeping. So my voice is my number one priority on the road.
Cool.
And because of that, I have improved, and I'm grateful for that. It's, to me, if my voice doesn't sound good, I don't have a good time. Mm-hmm. And I spent many years singing on a damaged instrument and not knowing it. So, fast forward to that live recording, I had so much more control than I ever had. Mm. And I think it's one of the better live performances that you're going to see on the internet, because prior to that, there's a lot of pain and suffering and off-key stuff, and just emotion being sort of the main element that I'm putting forward, where now it's balanced out with technique. Yeah. So I'm starting to finally get good at my instrument, and I'm going to continue to do so, because I'm just getting better with it. The more I learn, the more confident I'm getting. And
awesome.
I feel like you should never stop learning, as a musician. So.
Absolutely. And the pure joy of being in a band and the process and all that, and we all lack self-confidence. Self-sabotaging is a great thing for most people. It seems to be coming up more and more the more people I talk to. This sort of, I wish I could do better, but you've got to put in the time.
Absolutely,
Put in the time. So,
discipline really is what it is.
Yeah.
You can't rest on your laurels. You can't think that you've just figured it all out. Even great musicians continue to practice.
Yes.
That's why they're great.
Yes, exactly. We just talked about Iron Maiden, for God's sake. There you go there, Did you actually get to see Nico McBain? Because I've seen him live a couple of times. You get to see him on the videos, but his drum kit's so big, you don't technically get to see Nico.
Yeah, he is. He's a super down-to-earth, cool guy, and he would be available backstage just hanging. All those guys, they didn't